Well, over the last couple of months, two educational groups rolled out a project they believe will improve public education. It's called For the People, and it's designed to increase community involvement in the classroom. Joining me now is Siano, Superintendent of Norman Public Schools, and Shawn Hime, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma State School Board Association. Well, gentlemen, first of all, thank you for being here. But before we begin, I want to show the video that you brought with you.
It's great.
When you talk about education.
When you talk about education.
When you talk about education.
You're talking about me.
Talking about me.
You are talking about me.
You are talking about me. You're talking about me.
When you talk about public education.
You're not talking about a faceless institution.
I am the face of education. I am the face of education.
I am the face of education.
I am the face of education.
I may not understand educational budgets or the politics behind decisions
or the impact of testing,
but the result will shape my education.
It will shape if I love to learn, if I will follow my dreams.
I may not understand the conversations you have about education,
but I feel the outcome.
I can't make these decisions.
I can't make these decisions.
But you can.
You can.
You can.
Will you join the conversation about my future?
You walk into most schools in Oklahoma and you will find something positive happening every day.
Public education is the foundation for everything that we do in this country. And it's built on that foundation of public education and public education for all.
Nobody suffers from you being smart. Nobody suffers from you having an education. We all benefit from you being a productive member of society. Here recently, education has become less focused on the individual and more the numbers behind that individual.
I think in a lot of ways we're teaching kids to go pick that right answer out of A, B, C, or D. It's definitely more information given to the students. They're definitely exposed to more type of curriculum, but there's less of critical thinking and decision making.
We've got to look at a way to evaluate a child from the beginning and how we move that child forward.
We're getting away from what the problem is, and that's helping kids be the best they can be. We've got to look at the kids first, and we've got to listen to them, because they will tell you if they're being successful. It just all comes down to we've got to start working together. I mean, I don't think it's a lost cause. We can't let it be a lost cause.
The Visioning Project is really a jumping off point. It's a conversation starter. Hopefully it will bring all the partners to the table to talk about public education and what we can do to improve it.
Public education has become this adversarial conversation, when in truth, when you sit down individually, and I have with all these different stakeholders, there's a commonality in what our goals are. And I think the Visioning Project will give us that opportunity to define common goals and bring us forward together as stakeholders.
I'm not sure that everyone trusts educators to do what's right for children. That's why I was so excited about this project. When people see the success that we're having, I would hope that that then causes our communities to trust us, because every community is different. But the bottom line is every district needs to figure out together what's good for their kids, examine the project and figure out where they want to begin, and then get their educators and their community involved, because we can't be successful if we don't have our community and our businesses and our patrons involved with us in it. We can't do it alone.
The school can't exist without the community, and the community needs to be involved with the school.
We've got to make the connection that each one of those students is important.
It has to start with us. We have to be what we want. So if we want them to be successful, we want them to take their education seriously, then we have to take it seriously, and we have to take our commitment to that solution seriously. The role that you play, however small it may be to you, it might be a big role in the life of a kid.
I have dreams for the future.
I have dreams for the future. I have dreams for the future.
These dreams require education.
They require an education that won't fail me.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are high. From teachers
to administrators,
to school board members,
to parents,
to the community.
You all have a role to play.
Let your voice be heard.
Let your voice be heard.
Shape the face of education.
Shape the face of education. Say yes.
Say yes.
Be part of the conversation. Say yes.
Say yes.
Do whatever it takes to build up the students and teachers in my school.
In my school.
In mine.
In mine.
Say yes.
Say yes.
Embrace a new vision for public education. That's for all people. For all children. For me.
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 Well, first of all, what a great moving video for anyone that cares about public education. Let me ask you both, why this project?
I think there's a lot of reasons why this project. First of all, education, particularly public education, in my view, is the foundation for everything that we do in this state and across the country. And our time and investment in public education is certainly worth this effort and this effort going forward. But maybe specifically, Shawn might want to talk a little bit about where we got started.
Well, it really started with the whole reform movement. As educational leaders, we saw where we left a void in leadership. We ran schools, we were principals, we were teachers, and other entities came in and really led the discussion for reforming and improving public schools. And as that happened, we saw most of their plans, their slogans, buzzwords, practices really didn't fit what works best with children. So we decided to bring educational leaders together, talk about transformational practices that work in the classroom, and then bring those partners in to help us to be a part of it, from parents, community members, politicians, local chambers of commerce, to really see if we could move the needle on our public schools.
So is it fair to say that education in general recognizes that there's a need for change, but maybe not the type of reforms that have been pushed?
I think that's exactly right. First of all, as a school superintendent, my colleagues, teachers that I work with, principals that I work with, all believe that we could always get better and that we have to invest our time and effort in getting better. That's part of the profession. What we believe in as part of this project is, though, that the change needs to be transformational, not just reform, and that today's reform movement, in our view, in many of our views, is really about changes that will maybe focus on some kids and give some kids opportunities in certain ways. But it really makes no systemic change in the institution of public education. And our focus is systemic change in the institution that will really affect and impact every student in our schools across the state. And that's what really our change is about.
The point is, public education is for all children. So we don't want to just find pockets of change or change for specific groups of students. We want to try to have transformational practices Joe talked about and share that across the state of Oklahoma, so that schools in Idabel can learn what's working in Altus, and schools in Miami can learn what's working in Gotebo, so we can bring it up together and help all of our schools improve.
So how are you using this For the People project to elicit that change?
Well, we're starting with our groups, the School Boards Association. We have 16 regional meetings across the state. We're now in the process of meeting with them, rolling it out, sharing the concept. Our hope is they take it back to their community. They have strategic planning sessions in their community. They look at the pieces of the recommendations that deal with school policy, practices, procedures, compare that to what they're doing, find those things they think work in their schools, work on that implementation with their community. As they find promising practices, share those so we can grow the document, grow the experience across the state. Some of the legislative pieces, big picture pieces, we'll be working with our board members, but also legislative leaders to talk to them about a positive solutions-based approach. Joe talks about this a lot, and we've talked about this from the beginning. For some time now, we've been known as the group or organizations of no. On education reform, no on A through F, no on certain testing, no on third grade retention. Well, what are we for? So this was about telling them what we're for, having solutions to those issues, talking about what really works for children. If we want to talk about literacy for early elementary students, who knows better than educational leaders? We should have a solution, take it to our legislators and say, this will work. This is really what we want to do to have accountability for our schools. We need accountability for our schools. We believe in it as much as anyone, but we want an accountability system that truly gives a picture of what's happening in the local school. Are we helping students grow from grade to grade? You know, what's happening in the school so parents and community members know, not a system that may give an A or through F that is 9 months after the assessment took place and way too late for that data to really help schools make data-driven decisions.
We believe that the discussion on public education needs to be broad and inclusive. Those that are involved with reform today need to be at the table. Policy makers need to be at the table. Business leaders, parents need to be at the table. We think the Visioning Project gives us the opportunity to bring all those people to the table to again discuss this idea of systemic change in the system. But the other piece that we also believe is that educators should lead the discussion. And whether it be superintendents, principals, teachers, local board members, they're closest to the students, they're closest to their communities. But again, the discussion needs to be broad and very inclusive. We think the Visioning Project gives us that vehicle for that discussion.
So is it fair to say for this initiative to be successful, it's going to need that community involvement, those grassroots efforts from district to district?
Yes, to have long-term systemic improvement in the school system and each individual district, it takes everyone. It takes the parents and the community members to buy in to those expectations and what's going on in the school. They have to think it's important, and they have to expect their children to be college and career ready when they graduate.
We need to move away from what we've kind of called reform by slogan. Just giving the bullet that's going to be the silver bullet to fix public education. There is no silver bullet. There's no slogan that makes that systemic change. We believe this Visioning Project is a basis for that discussion to really make change in public education and to ask for a commitment to public education for all kids, not just avenues for kids to get out of the public education system, which is, I think, where the reform movement has gone to this point.
So is this an initiative that district to district can decide what they do with it?
You know, our vision of this is that we want to be held accountable, we want to have high standards, but we believe that there's not a top-down single way that that's achieved. This is an initiative that isn't top-down. It's something that districts can use either as a starter for strategic planning, as a basis for discussion as a community about what they want their public schools to look like, and most importantly, create that local investment in their schools, but with the expectation that there's standards that all of us have to meet so that students have their best opportunity to be successful. We can resolve those problems at best at the local level, and this is an opportunity for a great dialogue related to that.
Mm-hmm. Joe, Shawn, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Right. Now, we'll continue this conversation on our website. Just go to okhorizon.com and look for it under our value added section.